Good evening. You're watching the main news on HKIBC. I'm Maisy Mok. Here's a look at tonight's top stories. Qin Gang has been replaced as foreign minister by his predecessor, Wang Yi. Hong Kong stocks surge as Beijing gives a boost to the mainland's beleaguered housing sector. And the High Court is to hear a judicial review bid filed by the Hong Kong Golf Club. Qin Gang has been removed as foreign minister and replaced by his predecessor, Wang Yi, according to state broadcaster CCTV. The announcement followed weeks of speculation about Qin's whereabouts. He disappeared from public view in June for health reasons, with Beijing declining to comment on his status. CCTV reported this evening that Wang Yi, who outranks Qin and has been serving as President Xi Jinping's top foreign policy aide, returns to his former post as foreign minister. The decision came as a special session of the National People's Congress Standing Committee was convened this afternoon. Qin, who was appointed in December, made his last public appearance on June the 25th, when he met Russian Deputy Foreign Minister Andrei Rudenko in Beijing. Hong Kong stocks have surged by over 4% in its biggest single session increase since March. Property shares were the biggest contributors to the jump. Chloe Feng reports.
Beijing's latest pledge to revive growth is finally winning over some investors, with a statement from the Politburo meeting fueling market sentiment. All but 2 of 80 blue chips jumped on signs that the authorities are softening their tone on the property sector. The Hang Seng Index closed 4.1% higher at 19,434 points. The 766-point increase was the biggest single-session jump in 5 months. The optimism came as President Xi Jinping's mantra, "Housing is for living, not for speculation," was deleted from the latest statement. The slogan was first introduced by senior policymakers in 2016 as part of the efforts to contain runaway property prices. And the change raised the prospect that the long-standing purchase restrictions in the biggest cities in China will be loosened. The Hang Seng Mainland Properties Index surged 14.1%, its biggest rally since March last year. CG Services was the biggest winner, rocketing 26.5%. Longfor advanced 25.6%, Country Garden 18.2%, and China Overseas 12.3%. Other than property sector, other sectors including tech, automobiles, and finance shares also rallied. Chloe Feng, HKIBC.
The High Court has approved the application by the Hong Kong Golf Club for a judicial review in a bid to stop the government from building public housing flats on part of the Fanland golf course. The club is challenging the government's approval of an environmental impact report. Any decision supported by the report has to be halted until the judicial review is completed. The hearing is set to begin in the middle of next month. A teenager has been sent to a detention center after the city's top court overturned his acquittal on a charge of taking part in an unlawful assembly. The Court of Final Appeal said the lower courts had erred by not considering the bigger picture. Mak Wang-Wa turned up at the city's highest court this morning to hear the verdict in the Department of Justice's appeal against his earlier acquittal. The 18-year-old was convicted in August 2021, nearly 2 years after his arrest for taking part in an unlawful assembly. On the night of October the 7th, 2019, over 100 people had gathered at Wong Tai Sin Square. Max shone a torch at police officers while sitting on a staircase at the square. 3 people near him directed the lights from laser pointers or torches at police. Kuntao magistrate Andrew Mok found Mac guilty, saying there was sufficient connection between his action and that of the other 3. A year later, Mac was acquitted on appeal. Court of First Instance Judge Juliana Barnes ruled that he had acted independently. In the Court of Final Appeal today, a 5-judge panel said the lower courts had erred by adopting a narrow approach. They assessed the situation at the staircase and not the entire Wong Tai Sin Square where there was a crowd. The judges said Matt had intended to participate and join the unlawful assembly when he took a torch from one of those near him at the time. The top court restored Mac's conviction and ordered him to stay in a detention center for between 3 and 6 months. The Hong Kong Palace Museum is raising its general admission charge from September the 27th. Adults will pay $60 or 20% more to visit the showcase in the West Kowloon Cultural District. The concessionary rates will rise by $5 to $30. The museum said it has to increase entry fees to maintain its operation and ensure the quality of its exhibitions and programs. Visitors to the special exhibition, Gazing at San Xing Dui, in late September, will have to pay $150. The observatory says it will raise the number 1 signal tomorrow as Super Typhoon Doksuri draws closer to Hong Kong. The powerful storm is skirting the northern Philippines, forcing thousands to evacuate. Doksuri is moving northwest towards southeastern China. On its present trajectory, it's expected to skirt west of Taiwan. The number of visitors to this year's book fair has reached pre-COVID levels. Book vendors said consumption vouchers boosted sales. Chloe Wong reports.
The Trade Development Council, which organized the week-long book fair, said there were 990,000 visitors, 10% of whom were tourists. The fair ended this afternoon with crowds flocking to the Exhibition and Convention Center in Wan Chai, looking for bargains before the doors close at 5 p.m.
暫時買咗一大堆書同埋書包咯。
This man took the opportunity to buy school bags and books for his children.
臨尾幾個鐘戰鬥啦喺度。
This woman kept shopping until the very last minute. Her son said the books on sale this year were more interesting. Apart from fiction, academic exercise books were favorites at the fair.
大概我諗5000蚊度咯。
This man splashed out $5,000 and returned home with a suitcase packed with exercise books for his 2 children. In the last few hours, book vendors offered discounts to clear their stocks instead of lugging the leftovers back to their warehouses.
因為今日最尾一日，所以其實價低咗好多。
This secondary school student waited for prices to drop before grabbing reference books. Consumption vouchers gave an added boost to this year's fair, with sellers saying they did better than last year. Chloe Wong, HKIBC.
Chief Executive John Lee has arrived in Jakarta on the second stage of his Southeast Asian tour. Lee and his delegation were greeted by representatives of the Chinese Embassy and the Indonesian Foreign Ministry. One of his stops was the ASEAN-China Center, where he met ASEAN Secretary General Kao Kim Hoon. Lee arrived in Indonesia from Singapore and will next visit Malaysia. The death toll in wildfires sweeping across northern Algeria has risen to at least 34, including 10 soldiers fighting the infernos. Almost 100 fires are burning along the Mediterranean coast, forcing the evacuation of thousands of people. Firefighting operations have been hampered by the intense heat, with the temperature rising to 48 degrees Celsius in parts of Algeria. About 8,000 people have been deployed to stop the fires from reaching urban areas. Opposition lawmakers in India have denounced Prime Minister Narendra Modi for not doing enough to end ethnic clashes in the remote state of Manipur. Protests continue in Manipur, with police resorting to tear gas to disperse the crowds. Sachin Katvi reports.
Police in the northeastern Indian state of Manipur fired tear gas to disperse a student protest in the capital, Imphal. The students were demanding peace after more than 130 people were killed in communal violence since May. In an incident which happened weeks ago but only stirred outrage when a video surfaced last week, 2 women were paraded naked before they were gang raped. Ethnic clashes between 2 groups erupted after a court gave the majority Hindu Métis the same economic benefits enjoyed by the minority Christian Kukis.
This rally is for those who have been mercilessly killed, and this rally is for all those who have been tortured and those who have been humiliated. And the development that have been taken place since the May 3rd of this year have been just escalating more than reducing. And it is just turning Manipur into a global political threat.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi has been denounced for not doing enough to restore order in Manipur. His pledge to hunt down troublemakers has not convinced the public and opposition lawmakers. Parliament proceedings were disrupted for a 3rd day, with calls growing for the resignation of Manipur's chief minister. Sachin Katvi, HKIBC.
Tech giant Twitter's brand and logo have officially been changed to X. It comes as owner Elon Musk bids adieu to the iconic bird. Azam Khan reports.
The wings of the iconic blue bird of Twitter have been officially clipped as workers remove the sign from the company headquarters in San Francisco. It comes as the tech giant's owner, Elon Musk, refurbishes the company's brand and logo, now called X. The firebrand billionaire made the announcement by sending an X, which he said will replace the term tweets. X is already brandished across its platforms, including the smartphone app. Experts say that Musk is all in on the long-term remodeling of the business with this move, shifting away the short-term focus of resuscitating the company, effectively killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Even the original co-designer of the bird logo understood the move.
I'm sad to see it go. It had a great run. I think it's a great bird drawing, but 11 years, 12 years is really long for a corporate identity to stick around. And I think it feels like the platform is changing and they have like a new direction, and it makes sense.
It's the latest in haphazard changes to the company by Musk, although on brand in his style. The move drew attention away from the recent rival social media app Threads, launched by Mark Zuckerberg's Meta. Whether more users will prefer Threads or X remains to be seen. Azam Khan, HKIBC.
The exchange fund made a profit of $110 billion in the first half of this year, compared with a record loss of $165 billion in the same period last year. It gained $58 billion from bonds and $49 billion from overseas stock investments. As of the end of last month, the fund, which is used to defend the Hong Kong dollar, stood at nearly $4 trillion. Monetary Authority Chief Executive Eddie Yu said investor sentiment has turned positive as the market expects U.S. interest rates hikes to move at a slower pace. Hong Kong imports and exports have continued to decline. Exports fell by 11.4% to $337 billion last month from a year ago. Imports were down 12.3% at $394 billion, leading to a $56 billion trade deficit. Exports to Asian countries fell by 12%. For the first half of 2023, exports decreased by 15.5% from the same period last year, while imports declined 13.2%, leaving a trade deficit of $232 billion. Now let's take a look at the markets. The Hang Seng Index ended the day up by 766 points. To the top 10 active stocks, Tencent was up $20, Tracker Fund was up 76 cents, while Alibaba was up $5.60. Ping An was up $3.65, while BYD Company was up $5.80. Forex trading against the Hong Kong dollar. Euro is at 8.63. The British pound is at 10, while the Australian dollar is at 5.29. And over to the UK market, the London FTSE is currently up 16 points. France captain Kylian Mbappe is poised to become the world's most expensive footballer. Saudi club Al Hilal has made a record $332 million offer for the Paris Saint-Germain striker. Sachin Katvi reports.
Fans of French champions Paris Saint-Germain are in despair. Their star striker Kylian Mbappe has refused to extend his contract, which still has a year to go. PSG, on the other hand, are eyeing a bumper deal by selling him now, instead of releasing the 24-year-old France captain for free in a year's time. Clubs are knocking on PSG's door. Saudi football side Al Hilal offered a record $332 million for Mbappe. Should he decide to join Al Hilal, he will be the world's most expensive footballer, with his fee eclipsing the $262 million PSG paid Barcelona in 2017 for Brazil striker Neymar. PSG have asked Al Hilal to open negotiations directly with Mbappe. Another sign of his impending departure came when he was left out of PSG's pre-season tour of Japan. European clubs are also interested, and Mbappe himself is not so keen on leaving the continent. Sachin Katvi, HKIBC.
The SAR is sending a 930-member contingent to the Asian Games in Hangzhou. They include boxer Rex So and rugby 7-star Salome Yu. Nearly 700 athletes attended a flag presentation ceremony officiated by Chief Secretary Eric Chan today. At the 2018 Games in Jakarta, Hong Kong won 46 medals, including 8 gold. They hope to do better when the Hangzhou Games begin in September. The first batch of Hong Kong athletes taking part in the Summer World University Games left for Chengdu this morning. The SAR is sending a 205-member delegation to the biennial event, which begins on Friday. Over 8,000 athletes from 150 countries and regions are competing for 969 medals in 18 different sports. The event was originally scheduled to take place 2 years ago, but was postponed because of COVID. On to the weather now. It will be extremely hot tomorrow. Temperatures will range between 28 and 35 degrees. Unsettled weather in the next few days as Super Typhoon Doksuri approaches. That's our main news for Tuesday night. Tomorrow's main news will be at 9:30 p.m. I'm Maisy Mok, and I will be back for the late news at 11. Good evening.